What is up, y'all? This is Alex, and it has been a hot minute since you and I have seen each other last. Almost 4 months. Wowzers, that is way too long, and I am sorry. It has been a super busy semester. I had a lot of running around to do, a lot of preparation, but I also did end up with 2 internships that I'm going to be doing later on in the summer. I'm super stoked for that, but let's take baby steps, right? We made it to the summer. That's all that matters. I'm super pumped. I'm going to do my best to upload once a month and try to honor that. We'll see where things go from there. Sounds good? Awesome. So if you've, no doubt, you already have read the title of this video, and it is going to be my 6 favorite Indian movies that I have watched up to this point. If it wasn't already obvious, I like to consider myself a cinephile. I have been watching movies for as long as I can remember. There was just some magic about cinema that kind of just stuck with me ever since I was a kid. And I was feeling particularly ethnic, this week, so that's how this video came to be. And I'm like, I need to tell people what my favorite movies are that I've watched up to this point. Now, I don't frequent the Indian film industry that often. However, having grown up, in that culture and having watched these movies as a kid, I feel like I know enough to kind of help somebody who has never seen an Indian movie before and kind of get them started. So that's kind of also what this is for. And if you happen to be one of those people who have never seen an Indian movie in your life, I'm sure there are generalizations, that you have seen yourself, or at least someone has told you. Some of them do hold up. Like, for example, if it's the reality-shattering fight sequences, or the cringy dialogue, over-the-top acting, a musical number every 5 minutes, or whatever the heck that is. Such a good actor, such a bad movie. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that Hollywood and the Indian film industry both have a bunch of forgettable movies. But if you do some digging, you are bound to find a gem or two. And that's exactly why I made this video. So, without further ado, and in no particular order, here are my 6 favorite Indian movies so far. So, Lagaan. It's a historical drama made in 2001, and it's set in British-occupied India around 1893. It follows our main character, Bhuvan, and his village as they're dealing with a severe drought that's been bothering them for quite some time, and it prevents them from paying the taxes that's been put upon them by their British occupiers. And so Captain Russell, the main antagonist, who's kind of the leader of that province, he is shown to be a prick. You kind of see that throughout the entire movie. And he decides that he's going to keep raising their taxes. And the villagers, they kind of go and plead with the higher-ups. And during one of these times that they're kind of going, the antagonist, Captain Russell, he says, you know what, I'm going to challenge you and your village to a match of cricket. A game that they've never played before, never even heard of. But he says that if you win the match, he says, I'm going to waive that tax that I have on you for 3 years. You won't have to pay a dime. But if you lose, I'm going to triple that tax. And these villagers, they don't have much of a choice. They kind of just go for it, and it just follows them as they're learning the game. Unbeknownst to Captain Russell, his sister wants to give the villagers a fair chance. So she goes up to them and teaches them the sport, learns their language. But I think it's just a beautiful movie that just shows how they're taking the effort to learn about each other's cultures, even though of the crazy situation of the British occupying India. It just kind of shows that people can still treat each other like people despite the context or situation. So there's something really cool to pull from that. The cast is phenomenal, writing's done really well, so is the dialogue, the pacing's good too, not overwhelming. And I think it's a great movie to start with if you've never watched a Bollywood movie before. You learn about the sport of cricket, and there's also a bit of English in there, so kind of an easier transition into Bollywood. As I said before, it's got an amazing cast, but it's Amir Khan, Gracie Singh, and then British actors Rachel Shelley and Paul Blackthorne. The last of whom, I found out, actually is an actor in this little show, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Arrow? Am I saying that right? I'm just messing with you. He plays Detective Lance. Did not find this out until I actually researched for this video. So, fun fact you didn't know. Let's go to the next movie.
Okay.
Now, don't let the title scare you on this one. It's, believe it or not, actually one of the shorter ones in Kollywood, which is the Tamil film industry. But say it with me now. Ready? So, Panchatantaram is a Tamil comedy made in 2002, and it follows Ram, who is an airline pilot, and it's his love story with Maithili, who he fell in love with because she was one of his passengers. And there's some terrorists that actually came on one of his flights and ended up locking him in the bathroom, but she gets locked up in the same bathroom, and the two of them, they band together and they end up stopping the terrorists from hijacking his plane, save all the passengers, and they kind of become famous for a little while, which naturally leaves them to fall in love and get married. But after getting married, Maithili starts finding Ram in all these weird situations, which leads her to come to the conclusion that he's cheating on her. He's in fact actually not, but whenever she shows up, it's always at the wrong time, which, like I said, leads her to jump to those conclusions. But she's dead set on divorcing him, so she leaves, lickety-split, which sends Ram to confide in his four buddies, four of his best friends, who are not necessarily the best company, but they're just some funny dudes. But after some thinking and after some drinking, he kind of buckles down and decides that, yeah, I want to save my marriage. So he decides that he's going to go back to Maithili and try to win her back. But along the way, him and his four buddies end up either, like getting caught in or causing a bunch of crazy events that just start stacking up and growing exponentially worse as the movie progresses, and it's by complete accident. So this movie will kind of leave you in stitches. It's got a bunch of witty dialogue, great acting, and just a good story altogether. And it's led by Kamal Hassan. If you're looking to find a movie, I would definitely recommend anything with him in it, because he's such a versatile actor, just a hugely talented guy. So definitely, I would check this one out, add it to your list, and we'll go over to the next movie.
क्या पढ़ाई कर रहे थे?
इंडक्शन मोटर सर इंडक्शन मोटर फुल पढ़ लिया सर इसने इंडक्शन मोटर
Full. In that case, Mr. Raju Rastogi,
यस सर
can you tell us how an induction motor starts?
So, Three Idiots is a coming-of-age story that follows three best friends in college, and just their misadventures as they're navigating through life, love, and everything in between. It's a beautiful movie. It's a very candid look at the education system in India, and shows just how toxic it can be. Because in India, there is this honor-shame culture that says that the honor in a family will be seen in how good or how many achievements their child can stack up. And if you don't bring that much to the table, you kind of are seen as a shame to the family. This movie just addresses the elephant in the room and says that, hey, if we keep pressing this on our kids and on students, this is going to just cause so much self-esteem issues and like just self-worth as well. Because when it's pursued to its furthest extreme, it can lead to people ending their lives or going to severe depression. And it doesn't shy away from tackling issues like that. It actually brought people a lot of relief after this movie came out, because it kind of addressed the elephant in the room, like I said. But it also has this pure message of saying that you are so much more than just a GPA or a number. And it just challenges you to pursue doing something that you love, where you feel like you are living up to your potential and contributing the most to society. It got a lot of high praise in India and also in Asia in general, but also got praise from Steven Spielberg, who said it's one of his favorite Hindi movies that he's ever seen. On top of the great story and great message, it's got a great cast. We're revisiting Amir Khan once again, R. Madhavan, Sharman Joshi, and Kareena Kapoor, just to name a few. Awesome movie, highly recommend it. It'll make you laugh, make you cry, but also have something that you can take back with you when you're done watching. Let's go to the next movie. Barfi is a drama that focuses on the life of Murphy Johnson, who is a deaf and mute boy who is raised by his father. The title comes from the fact that because he is both deaf and mute, whenever he pronounces Murphy, it comes out as Barfi. And that just becomes his nickname, and that's what everybody calls him. He has a reputation in the town as being this troublemaker and a prankster, and he just goes around looking for trouble. And his primary target is this police officer, and it's just super fun to watch these two play a game of cat and mouse because there's a lot of comedic scenes that they have together. But later on in the movie, there's this girl named Shruti who moves to town, and Barfi just takes an instant liking to her, and he does whatever he can to woo her. Turns out that she actually does end up sharing the same feelings, but sadly they just can't be together. So they end up going their separate ways. And later on in the movie, they meet up, and she still has feelings for him, but you end up finding out that Butterfee has fallen for another girl named Jill Mill, and she's a girl who has autism. This movie really does an amazing job of tugging at your heartstrings. It's got this really amazing story and amazing character that you can follow. But on top of that, I think that since the director had a huge appreciation for the golden age of cinema, he pays homage to a lot of the American classics like Buster Keaton, Donald O'Connor, and Charlie Chaplin. And I think I included a few examples up here just to show you, like, there are scenes that are pretty identical, but just to show that, his appreciation for those scenes. The cast includes Ranbir Kapoor, Priyanka Chopra, and Ileana de Cruz. Like I said, it's just a very feel-good movie, I would say. So add that to your list.
solid मारा है मानना पड़ेगा बाप
Yeah.
ये किधर है
यहाँ मेरा ऑफिस है.
So Doom is an action movie that was made in 2004, I believe, and it follows a cop who teams up with a bike dealer as they go and try to stop this gang that's pulling off all these crazy heists on bikes. And so it's kind of fast-paced, high-action sequences, just a fun movie altogether, and actually has some pretty good songs too. Doom went on to start off a franchise. It's got 2 more sequels, but just between you and me, I don't think the sequels are as good as the first one, but I think it's definitely worth checking out. The movie stars John Abraham, Abhishek Bachchan, Uday Chopra, and Isha Deol. It's also an Indian movie that you can watch and sit through and not have to say, man, that would never happen in real life, or at least not as often. And finally, at number 6, we have A Wednesday, which I would say is one of the best movies I've seen, period. It stars veteran actors Anupam Kher and Nasiruddin Shah. You guys might recognize Anupam Kher from the movie Hotel Mumbai, which I saw last month, and that was an absolutely incredible movie. I would highly recommend that one too. But that's not what we're talking about right now. So to get back to A Wednesday, it follows the story of a retired police commissioner, and it kind of unfolds as a flashback as he's recounting the details of what happened on this day. And this story, he says, is only known to the people who were involved, so it's kind of hidden from the public. But he says that there's this crazy turn of events that happened from the hours of 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on a particular Wednesday. He remembers that there was this unnamed man who phones in to his team and says, "I've planted 5 bombs in Mumbai, and if you don't meet my demands, I'm going to detonate them." So it's this crazy high-stakes situation, and you just start to learn as the movie unfolds the motives of this unnamed man, because he'll phone in every now and then, and it's just them trying to find each other, and the people trying to defuse the situation as quickly as possible. There's also a crazy, awesome twist at the end of the movie, which I'm not going to spoil, but it would be a crime if I didn't, recommend this movie at all to y'all, and so that's why I kind of saved it for the end as well. But yeah, that concludes our list. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my comprehensive, master, top secret list of 6 favorite Indian movies up to this point in my life. Quick caveat is that it is subject to change as time progresses. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This was a lot of fun, kind of just sharing this with you guys. If you have never seen an Indian movie in your life, I would recommend any of these 6. It would be a perfect place to start, and it can kind of help you decide whether or not you want to, test the waters even further. Feel free, just to check any one of those movies out. I would highly recommend any of them in a heartbeat. Thank you so much for stopping by. This was a pleasure. It was so much fun. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to keep putting out content as best as I can. But yeah, anyways, that's all I have. You've heard my list of favorite movies. I would love to hear yours. So please listen them in the comments below. We'll keep this conversation going. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a good night. T's and G's.